Hello everyone, this is your host TrevCL, and welcome to the first Pokemon Challenge video I've done in a while. I know I promised this video for the third week of Pseudo-June, and here we are in September, but I finally have regained the motivation to continue this series, or at the very least, wrap up this unanswered question. Can you beat Pokemon Black with only a single Deino? Starting off with the analysis, Deino is probably the most unique out of any Pseudo I've done so far. It's incredibly strong with 65 base attack and the ability Hustle, which boosts its physical attack by 50% at the cost of each of those same attacks being 80% of their original accuracy. To estimate how strong this makes it, this roughly gives it the same attacking stat as its final evolution, Hydreigon. However, there are many drawbacks to Deino as well. Ignoring the previously stated fact that each physical attack has at best a 80% chance to hit, it also has a very low speed, and its coverage is abysmal. Its non-stab / normal coverage includes Rock Smash, a terrible move in general, and Incinerate, a TM not able to be gotten realistically in a solo challenge as the prize in the battle subway. It has fantastic coverage when it comes to tutor and egg moves, but since this is a black and white single Deino run, none of those can be usable in this run. You could make an argument egg moves should be fair game, but I like to treat these runs as if the Pokemon I'm using is an official starter for the game, and since I can only use a single one throughout the playthrough, that personally checks off egg moves for my challenges. With that tangent out of the way, let's finish this start off with the rules. Same as always for both this channel and a majority of these runs. I can only use Deino in battle, no using items in battle except for held items, and no hacks, cheats, or glitches. Gen 5 is notoriously challenging to beat in solo runs due to how hard grinding becomes the higher level you go. I definitely think it'll be possible, but certainly not looking forward to the end game. It actually doesn't matter too much which starter I replace outside of Tepig, due to the fact that you have two official rivals in this game, so I just replaced the Oshawott slot. After resetting for a bit to get favorable IVs in nature, which you can see in the description, I destroy my two rivals. Unlike Dratini, which learns Dragon Rage at level 22, and Bagon, which doesn't learn it at all, Deino starts off with Dragon Rage. This means the early game is about as much of a cakewalk as you'll ever see in these challenge runs, as nothing lives a single Dragon Rage. Case in point, the first battle with N, a character who will basically become a third rival throughout most of the game. Despite being level 5, the challenge still ends in one turn. The first gym battle goes basically the same way, only taking 2 turns, due to the fact that they have 2 Pokemon. It's at this point that the insanely easy early game ends, as Pokemon will start being high enough level to take Dragon Rages. Before I move on to the second gym, I spend quite a bit of time in the Dream Yard grinding. This is for 2 reasons. 1, I know I have to be a lot higher level for Lenora, the second gym leader. She usually gives solo runners a difficult time due to her relatively high power level at this part of the game. And 2, Purloin is a common spawn which gives out speed EVs. While I don't think the game's impossible without a little EV training, if I can outspeed certain problems at a lower level, it could potentially save me hours of grinding throughout the run. Plus, it's not like I'm exactly going crazy and trying to max out my speed EVs or anything. Back on task now, I team up with Charon to beat up some Plasma Grunt Thieves and make my way through the gym. Based off an encounter with a level 17 Herdier in the gym, which actually does quite a bit of damage before going down, I know this level will probably not suffice for Lenora, but I give it a try anyway. My doubts are proven to be true, as while I can take down the Herdier, Watch Hog can just end me whenever it feels like clicking Retaliate. I come back at level 21 entering the fight, and it does go much smoother, but not necessarily because of my grinding. On my 3rd try overall, I take out Herdier damageless, and her Watch Hog misses its hypnosis instead of instantly ending me with a Retaliate, and I can take the non-boosted one safely the second turn, allowing for what is honestly a pretty cheap victory. If she just clicked Retaliate after every time the Herdier fainted, I definitely would have had to grind to the point I could outspeed and take a boosted Retaliate. To celebrate this miraculous victory, I shall recite an original poem by yours truly. Why did you not click Retaliate? You easily had me in checkmate. But as the famous saying goes, we take those. With that celebratory masterpiece out of the way, we once again dispatch of Team Plasma and reach Castelia City. This city is home to 2 crucial parts of this run. One is the 3rd gym, which being that the leader Berg uses bug types, which Deino is weak against, I'm not looking forward to it. But the other part that's huge for this run is the Violite, an item introduced in this generation that boosts the defenses of not fully evolved Pokemon by 50%. While Deino is still far from a defensive powerhouse, this definitely makes up for the frailty it has with the below average defensive IVs and minus defense nature. Even equipped with this item, I was thinking Berg would be a tough battle, and while it wasn't exactly a first try victory, beating him on only my third try is a win in my books. It seemed the only bug move his Ace Leavanny had was the incredibly weak Struggle Bug, and since I went in with a good amount of HP, I walk away with my third badge of the run. I do have 2 rival battles right after exiting Castelia, of which the first was with Bianca. While you would think she would be the tougher one since she shows Tepig, the now Pignite merely goes for a defense curl instead of attacking, and the rest of her team drops like flies. I cannot say the same for Cheren, however. At full health, this battle really wouldn't have been a problem, but I was caught off guard by how fast the next major battle was happening. It's been a while since I played through Gen 5, and specifically in Black and White, there are just so many rival battles thrown at you, it's hard to remember them all. Going back to the battle with Cheren, he very well could have defeated me if not for an incredibly lucky Dragon Breath Paralysis on the exact turn I needed it, allowing me to outspeed his once agile Liepard and finish the fight with a Dragon Rage. If you thought 2 rival battles between gym fights was a lot, why not try for 3? N appears during the classic Ferris wheel scene where he reveals to us that he is the king of Team Plasma, and then afterwards we battle. His fights have been quick and easy so far, but here's where he actually does beat me for the first time. All it takes is hitting myself in confusion after a swagger, plus a hard-hitting Brick Break from his Scraggy to effectively knock me out from full. This battle is an annoying one too because you have to sit through the whole cutscene again without being able to skip it. I am able to win on my second attempt, but only because of the fact I never hit myself and had just enough HP to take a critical hit air cutter from his Sigilif. This battle had me realize that the game is quickly catching up with Deino's low stats and far from reliable physical accuracy. The Violite boosting our bulk is the only thing keeping this run from being ridiculously hard and inconsistent at this point, and even then, I don't see that lasting too much longer. Case in point, my attempts against Elisa, the electric type gym leader. Being resistant to the type should lead to an easy victory, which is what my first attempt was looking like. But then I got paralyzed from static, which snowballed into get fully parried, crit, and then missing my crunch. To say I was salty is an understatement. I was absolutely livid. Thankfully, despite my incredibly high sodium level, I was able to pull it out a couple of goes later, although with yet another too close for comfort victory. Now this is where I truly thought the run would go from challenging to incredibly grueling. Clay, the 5th gym leader, uses ground type Pokemon. Now that doesn't sound too bad for Deino. I don't exactly like taking ground moves, but I'm not weak to them and I can deal back neutral damage. Well, that would be the case, except for his strongest Pokemon, Excadrill. Generation 5 was the last generation that Steel type resisted Dark types and Ghost type attacks, which means both of my stabs are resisted. Pair that with Drill having a massive attack set and great HP, and my options were rather limited. Now that I look back at it, I did overlook Rock Smash as a move for this fight. While 40 base power is relatively weak, when you add in the super effective multiplier of ×2, it would be my strongest move. At the time of this run, I did not think of using Rock Smash, so grinding in preparation was my decision. While grinding as a whole is way more of a pain in Gen 5 than it was in earlier generations, there is one saving grace that helps keep it from being a total nightmare: the Shaking Grass mechanic. There are spawns exclusive to Shaking Grass, including the EXP god known as Deino. Even if the Pokemon I encountered happened to not be an Deino, there were still lots of evolved Pokemon like Herdier, Stoutland, and Chinchino that had decent experience outputs. After probably about 30 minutes, I ended the grind at level 36 and entered the gym. By the time I reached Clay, I had leveled up once more, so I was definitely feeling confident that I could win. You may notice that I went through a pretty drastic moveset change, the only returning move I have being Crunch. While Thunder Wave won't be useful against this gym in particular, Return and Dragon Pulse give me great options against the lead Krokorok. Unfortunately, I missed my lead return, allowing the Krokorok to swagger me. Now the boost is amazing for Excadrill, but in classic swagger fashion, I hit myself for nearly half my health and get slowed down by Bulldoze. Despite being able to kill the following turn, I stand no chance against the Excadrill. Surprisingly though, on just my second try, I'm able to crack the code, so to speak. I decide not to risk return this time and go for the Dragon Pulse. While it doesn't quite kill, I dodge a Swagger on the second turn and get to the Excadrill pretty much unscathed. It sets up a Hone Claws, which is terrifying, but I finally get some luck in my favor as for the first time in a while, I get a drop in its defense with Crunch. Based off the damage from the fallen Bulldoze, I definitely would have been screwed, but instead I'm able to take out the Excadrill with a second Crunch. Even missing against the Palpidol doesn't matter as it likely couldn't hurt me much, and I claim a rather quick 5th gym badge. This fight definitely had the potential to be a run halter, but don't you worry, the worst has yet to come. Chargestone Cave is uneventful for the most part, with the exception of getting jumped by N at the end. Realistically, I could have won on my first attempt, but I was not quite at full HP, leading to a narrow defeat. His double steel team, one of them being Iron Barb's Ferroseed, is super annoying to deal with. Going in with full HP the second time gives me a big enough buffer to get past him and exit the cave. An amazing part about this section of the game is there's just so many trainers to grind experience off of. Adding that onto the recently received Lucky Egg that boosts our experience gained greatly, and grinding is almost not bad considering it's Gen 5. So after making my way up through a Celestial Tower to ring the bell and send Skyla back to her gym, I entered said gym at level 45. And to show off how confident I am that I can steamroll Skyla, I keep the Lucky Egg attached rather than equipping the more strategically sound Violite, just so I can get even more bonus XP. And it works. Despite an early miss against her Swoobat, which leads to big damage, the rest of her team doesn't do much, and I get a lucky Dragon Rush hit to one-shot her Swanna, winning me my easiest badge since the very first one. Before entering yet another cave, man does this game have a lot of those, we enter another rival fight against Sharon. And just like my battle against Skyla, this is yet another easy first try victory. Twist Mountain is just like the previous section of the game, lots of trainers to grind XP from while making my way towards the 7th gym. Speaking of the 7th gym, they use Ice Pokemon, arguably the worst matchup for Deino. Luckily, I'm going in with a massive level advantage, so hopefully that'll be enough to carry me to victory. I've gotta admit though, I am a very greedy person. I employ the same strategy I did against Skyla to see if I can steal some free XP from this fight. Not only that, but because I'm scared of his hard-hitting Beartic, I try going for Dragon Rush over and over just to see if I can one-shot it before it can destroy me with Icicle Crash. I did this because I knew from prior run-ins with Cryogonals in the gym that Bryson's Cryogonal would be able to outspeed me and finish me off if I had taken too much damage. While this fight did take the most attempts out of any fight so far, on just my 5th try I'm able to finally hit the Beartic, and while previously mentioned the Cryogonal is faster than me, its weak Aurora Beam doesn't even do half. And now, it is time to start one of the most story-dense sections in any Pokemon game ever. First on the list of story events in this part is climbing up Dragon Spiral Tower, fighting lots of Plasma Grunts until I run into N at the top. Now while we don't get to fight him yet, we do get this cool scene of Zekrom appearing. I remember seeing this for the first time at 12 years old and being absolutely blown away by how cool it was. Oh, how easily impressed I was by simple scenes back then. I then have to go through another plasma-filled dungeon, this time being the Relic Castle. No major fights happen yet again, so not much more to it than grunt fights. After getting out, our group heads to Nacrene City, where I receive the Lightstone. Spoiler warning, this will end up turning into Reshiram during the final fight, but that doesn't matter because our dragon of choice is our trusty Deino. After getting through all the story, at least prior to the ending of the game, we run into Bianca. She's actually able to cause a reset, though missing 3 moves in a row was the main cause of our defeat. On the second attempt, I don't miss a single time, which allows me to just squeak by. Bad sign that even when I don't miss a move and I'm 20 level higher, I'm still in danger of losing if move choice by the AI was better. I do eventually make my way to the final gym, and this is a tough one. While I have the ability to one-shot everything in the gym if I'm lucky enough, one miss basically dooms me. And for those of you still asking, yes, I am still holding the lucky egg for extra experience. But honestly, I don't think the Violite would help me that much overall, and this extra experience now will save me a ton of time in the end. Even in this gym, I'm basically having to save between every trainer because I die so easily and it takes forever to get back. I think I ended up losing at least once to half the trainers in the gym. Ironically though, Drayden is a flawless first try victory. While granted, I should have lost to his dragon dancing Haxorus after I missed, but his own greed made him go for an unnecessary second DD, allowing me to hit Dragon Rush for the second out of 3 tries in this battle. Not a bad ratio considering the accuracy of Dragon Rush combined with Hustle. All 8 gyms are down now. Now onwards to Victory Road and the Elite Four, is what I would be saying, except there's yet another rival fight, this time with Charon. And just like the last one against Bianca, I missed multiple attacks in a row against the starter, leading to my demise. Concerning part for this one was the fact that I got outsped, so only 2 misses were needed to take me down. One big positive is after beating his lead Unpheasant on the second try, I level up to 62 and get to replace the inaccurate Dragon Rush with the newly buffed Outrage. Sitting at 120 base power and 100 accuracy, before the 20% nerf from Hustle of course, I sweep Charon pretty easily as nothing can stand up to the sheer power. I guess you can say it's an outrageously strong move. But in all seriousness, it's on the Victory Road. Now, I have to admit, Victory Road did give me quite a bit of trouble. While I was 20 levels higher than everything, at this point every trainer has at least 2 to 3 fully evolved Pokemon that if I miss against, can take me out in just a few hits. But after whiting out a few times throughout the journey, I make it out at the decent level of 65. And here's the part of the game I've been hyping up the entire video, the part of the game where everything comes to a grinding halt. I already know that due to one of the Elite Four members being a fighting type user, my current level will just not cut it. So onto the grind I go. I decide the best way to grind is to go through the Elite Four over and over again until I get a run where I can feel good about completing. If I'm having too much trouble being in the Elite Four, then there would be no way that I could beat the last 2 fights in the game. So I go into the Elite Four and immediately fight Caitlyn, the Psychic type member. Should be an easy sweep as long as I hit most of my moves, right? Well, it was, in a way. An incredibly concerning fact though is that I am outsped by her Sigilyph that is 17 levels lower and 2/3 of my health is gone in a single Ice Beam. Now, if Sigilyph was some sort of speed demon, I wouldn't be too worried, but Sigilyph has a base speed of 97, and I know there will be plenty of Pokemon coming up that will be at least the same level or higher, as well as being faster. This just further enforces my need to grind. The most obvious second choice for me to go to is Chantel, the Ghost type trainer. It's funny because her first Pokemon, Cofagrigus, actually makes this fight incredibly easy. As long as I'm able to hit it, I actually lose Hustle. While the loss in power would normally hurt, I can actually still OHKO everything, and now I don't even have to worry about missing. Knowing that I can't really beat Marshall yet as he has a Mienshao, which would definitely outspeed and kill me at this point, I decided to go towards Grimsley and his dark type Pokemon first. I knew it would be tough because he has both Intimidate and a Steel type on his team, but I never thought even the Crocodile would outspeed. Though even that isn't as big of a deal as the fact that with the Intimidate, Bisharp isn't even 2-hit KO'd by my Outrage, so I'm taken down easily. I knew I would have to grind for 1 member, but unfortunately I have to grind for 2 members now. Just for knowledge sake, during my next run through at a higher level, I try for Marshall. The first 2 go down in 1 Outrage each, which gets my hopes up, but like I originally thought, Mienshao outspeeds and knocks me out in a single hit. So at this point I know I have to go for at least outspeeding Mienshao if I want to have a chance. The grind takes so long. Not only did I not just cut it out, I didn't even record it in the first place. All I did was grind for 8 levels, not even 8 levels that were super close to level 100, and it must have taken hours of real time. Like I said, grinding in this game starts to really suck if you can't beat the final bosses. But luckily, as always, Caitlyn's a cakewalk despite getting hit with a Focus Blast due to a miss. And now that I outspeed the Sigilyph, that's not a problem either. I just have to hope I can outspeed the Mienshao or this run's still toast. Chantel is next, and she's basically an auto win as long as I'm able to hit the Cofagrigus first try. Even if she's able to get the Flame Body off with her Chandelure as she does here, Jellicent doesn't really do anything to me and it eventually goes down. Up next is the fight we've all been waiting for, the final match with Marshall. Funny enough, I was nearly able to defeat him on my first try. His first 2 Mons went down to a single Outrage still. Despite hitting myself against the Mienshao, I dodged the jump kick and was able to outspeed to take it out. Unfortunately, Mr. Brick Wall himself is here. Sock is the sturdy variant, meaning if it's at full HP, I will never be able to one-shot it. And after getting unlucky with confusion, I eventually go down. On screen now are some of the many attempts I had at this fight, as each time I missed against the first 3 Pokemon, that was an automatic reset. Throw could lower my speed with Bulldoze, Conkeldurr could nearly one-shot me with a Hammer Arm, and Mienshao could do the same with Jump Kick. Even on attempts where I didn't miss, if I only got a 2-turn Outrage, hitting myself against Mienshao or Sock was basically destined. After spending nearly 30 minutes straight attempting this fight, I finally get a run where, while not everything goes smoothly, a majority of events do fall in my favor. I only get a 2-turn Outrage, but am able to break out to one-hit the Mienshao with Return, and in comes my nemesis. I start by snapping out of confusion, which is amazing, and going for the crunch, hoping to avoid full restore range. I unfortunately do just enough damage and lose a chunk of my health to Karate Chop. He of course heals as I miss. Not a huge deal as I bring him low and he hits me with another Karate Chop. But then I miss yet again as he heals, and now I'm in trouble. I could just go for 2 straight attacks, but if I miss, I automatically lose. So I go for the riskier option and hit him with a Thunder Wave, which immediately pays off as he's fully parried. I hit my return as his Karate Chop puts me on the brink of fainting, but miraculously, I'm able to hit one last return and win with just 9 HP remaining. The T-Wave play was definitely an interesting one, but one that I think worked out and one that I would make if I had to do it again. Despite the fact that Grimsley was another one I had trouble with in my prior grinding runs, he was similar to Caitlyn and Chantel in that he was defeated on my first attempt this run. I did sub out the Eviolite for the Dragon Fang because I thought I might need that extra damage against Bisharp, and I was right to do so. Scrafty and Crocodile are easy one-shots, and in comes his ace. Looking at the damage I did, I might have still been able to 2-hit KO with a non-boosted Outrage, but no matter, as even without the extra bulk, I take the X-Scissor decently enough to where I live the Fake Out plus Aerial Ace combo from his Lipard, and I have officially beat the Elite Four. But as we all know with all runs, and especially for those of you who have specifically played Black and White, the Elite Four are hardly the last challenge we have to face. After many hardships on this journey, we've passed all trials and challenges. It's now time to fight N. But first, we must watch probably the coolest scene in the DS era of Pokemon games. Starting off with Zekrom crashing into the throne room, followed by Reshiram awakening from the Light Stone, bursting into flames as it stares us down. Now, one thing to note, you are forced to catch it here. My plan was to perhaps at least defeat it over and over again to get some XP, but apparently those sadists at Game Freak can't even spare some XP for beating the legendary, so the only path now is to immediately catch it. Although I do have to ask, am I the sadist for attempting this run, knowing all the challenges that accompanied it? While we contemplate that completely hypothetical question, I've caught Reshiram, and now it's time for N. Or it would be, except Reshiram is forced to the front of my party. So rather than having to catch Reshiram and then switch from said Reshiram into Deino every time the battle starts, I decided to just accept the loss so I can put Reshiram in the PC. Once that's handled, the final battle starts for real this time. Let me just say, it does not go well, not at all. Despite being 25 levels higher than his Zekrom, a Pokemon not known for its agile movements at base 90 speed, I am still outsped. That was a bad omen right at the start. Then you add in the fact that it seemed like Hustle felt like making my moves hit at what must have been a 60% clip instead of the 80% clip that was advertised. Out of what must have been around 25 attempts, at least 15 to 20 were ended because of missed moves, and in at least 10 of those, I missed multiple moves. Even when I do make it without missing, the furthest I managed to go is his 4th Pokemon, Archeops, which I never managed to even be able to hit due to its speed, power, and my low HP. Heck, while I don't fully commit to this strategy on one of my runs, I used my last 5 rare candies to go 30 levels ahead of his lead Zekrom, and I'm still outsped. While it definitely ended up as my best attempt, I still wasn't able to hit Archeops due to the miss, and I know for a fact he's got a Klinklang in the back thanks to Zoroark's ability spoiling it. A Klinklang, mind you, which would be easily able to eat up any hit and finish me at the low amount of health I would be at. So after all these attempts, I say enough is enough. I decide that not only do I need to grind more, a different strategy is needed. So I relearn Dragon Pulse in place of Return, and teach Work Up in place of T-Wave. After grinding and using my last 5 rare candies for real this time, I make my final attempts at the insane level of 85. It's definitely not the greatest of starts, That's why I finally outspeed the Zekrom and get up 2 workups. I missed my first 2 crunches. Dragon Pulse wouldn't have killed thanks to the light screen, so I went for the Hail Mary, which didn't work out in my favor exactly. However, it didn't hurt me too much, so I take out the Zekrom at about half health. Vanillix goes down every time as long as I hit, which I do, and now it's Zoroark's turn. Surprisingly, I'm able to outspeed it and nail it with the Dragon Pulse. And next is the dreaded Archeops. I take a lot from Dragon Claw, but another D-Pulse destroys it. Usually Kling Claim would be a massive issue with its steel typing and good physical bulk, but when you're staring down a +2 Deino with Hustle, you're dead as long as Crunch hit, which it does. I'm thinking this could be the run, but the ever-annoying Sturdy does me in once more as his Carracosta is able to successfully hit its own 80% accurate move, finishing me off. While a little disheartening to lose that close to victory, the fact that this is my first attempt with this new level and strategy gave me the boost I needed to push onwards. And it's just the boost I need because a mere 2 attempts later, I reach the Carracosta once more at a much higher health. Only thing that could stop me now would be a crit, which I thankfully avoid, and despite N using a full restore, nothing can save him now as I have now become the Pokemon League champion and beaten Pokemon Black with only a Deino. Is what I would say if this was a normal Pokemon game, but Black and White were no ordinary Pokemon games. While we're still technically the champion, the credits have not rolled yet as we have one last fight, Ghetsis. Now if you thought N was tough, Ghetsis is infamously strong. I still remember that in my very first playthrough of this game, it must have taken me an hour to beat him. And now I have to beat him with solely a Deino. My first attempt goes pretty well as I immediately take out his Cofagrigus with a single crunch, similar to what I did against Shotel. But his next mon out is his notorious Hydreigon, the final form of our Deino. Unfortunately, we run into 2 problems. Number 1, we are outsped despite being 31 levels higher, something we are quite familiar with at this point. And 2, Dragon Pulse just barely is unable to KO, meaning that we need to lock ourselves into Outrage as he heals with a full restore. Next up is his Bisharp, another Pokemon we cannot take out in one hit. We nearly go down to an X-Scissor, but we were able to take it down with a second Outrage. But our luck runs out as we hit ourselves in confusion against his Bouffalant and we go down. Definitely not looking forward to another fight with a faster Dragon type and bulky Steel type. For my next few attempts, I just really try to go for either a max rolled Hydreigon with Dragon Pulse, if that would even be able to take it out, or a crit. As you can see, I'm just getting tossed over and over again, either by said Hydreigon or my own confusion. After about 5 attempts of going nowhere, I end up taking a risk against his Cofagrigus. Usually it will go for Toxic turn 1 if I don't immediately take it out, but this time it goes for Protect as I set up a workup, and now we're cooking. It goes down in 1 crunch. Hydreigon can barely do half to us with D-Pulse, but our own D-Pulse is enough to take it out now with the boost. But here's where I completely choke away what should have been an easy win from here. I completely forget that Bisharp quad resists Dark instead of just being the normal resist to Dark like in later gens, and so Dragon Pulse is not enough to KO now, meaning I have to lock myself into Outrage. And knowing my luck, while I do kill the incoming Bouffalant, I get the 2-turner and knock myself out just 2 turns away from beating the challenge. There's one thing worse than losing a difficult fight to hacks, and that's losing a fight you definitely could have won but choked. Regardless, this is now the strategy to win. I need to bank on either a Toxic Miss or a Protect turn 1, and while it does take about 10 tries to get the result I want, I eventually do get a Protect turn 1 and the ball is rolling once more. As long as I don't miss, which I don't, I kill the Cofagrigus with a crunch, and in comes Hydreigon. If it crits, I die, but thankfully he doesn't, so that's 2 down now. The last chance for this to go wrong is if his Bisharp crits me with an X-Scissor, as Dragon Pulse looks to be a 2-hit KO. He doesn't crit me, and this run looks to be in the clear. Bouffalant comes in. I need to go for Crunch, as I'd rather risk somehow not killing with Crunch than the more likely 2-turn Outrage. It does take it out with Crunch, and all that's left is to take out his Seismitoad with an Outrage, and then finally finish off Ghetsis by doing the same to his Eelektross. And after that, I have now finally defeated Pokemon Black with only a single Deino. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'd like to apologize for the massive gap between videos. Definitely was not my intention to go 3 months between uploads, but my motivation was pretty low for a while, and then I got busier with work. I got my motivation back in early August, but it wasn't until last week that I could work up the effort to type out the script and put together this video. It is nice to see my channel manage to stay afloat and not completely die during this time, and to anyone who subbed during my absence, hope you enjoyed the videos I had uploaded and will continue to enjoy the new uploads. I can promise there will be no more 3-month gaps. As for everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already to celebrate the return of these runs on the channel. I'll let you guys know, I've got some big projects in the work, but those won't really start up until later next month. So in the meantime, I've got some runs already in storage. So would you rather have Smeargle and Ruby, Pineco and Silver, or Cranidos and Diamond? The Cranidos video would take closer to 3 weeks, but Smeargle or Pineco could be out in the next week or two. So let me know what you prefer in the comments below. Otherwise, this has been your host TrevCL, and I am signing out. Peace, guys.